Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I'm your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names and kicking candy ass. Live in the color here with you on Grande's Graveyard. Happy December, ladies and gentlemen. We're here. We're live. We're in living color on Grande's Graveyard. And tonight we dive head first into some winter-themed December horror, if you will. I'm super excited about this. Of course, last year I touched pretty much solely on Christmas movies, Christmas horror movies. And I had a blast doing that. And the one thing about horror Christmas movies, they are limited, right? Like I don't want to, if I was to do it all again, just strictly Christmas horror movies in December, I'd probably run out. So I decided, I was like, this year, let me take a step back. Let me just try to attempt to do winter themed horror movies. And tonight we've got two of them for you. And I'm super excited about that. Of course, the first one we'll be taking a look at is from 1990. This is Rob Reiner's film Misery. And we'll be taking a look at the special edition 4K release from Kino Lorber. I'll go into what I think about the picture quality, audio, and of course the movie itself. Super excited to go into this one because this is a fucking great movie and a great special edition 4K. I really am excited to review that. And also, we'll be talking a little bit of indie horror tonight on the Graveyard, a movie that I think is one of the more underrated horror movies of the last 20 years, and a movie that I've grown to sort of become a giant fan of. And also this director, I really want to discuss him and his career and his intelligence and passion for the genre. This is a little film from 2003. This is Dante Tomaselli's horror. Yes, horror, ladies and gents. So little independent, little bit of a mainstream one, winter theme. That's what's going to connect these two. It's funny. Like I was sitting down to do these winter, like put these winter theme horror movies together. I was like, geez, these two don't really go together that much aside from the winter atmosphere. But I don't know. I think it's cool to throw like a mainstream one that everybody knows. Pretty much everybody's fucking seen Misery. At least I hope so. And then this one is one that very few people discuss. And if they do, have seen it, they don't discuss it. So I figured, I was like, you know what? I want to get horror on there. I want to talk a little Dante Tomaselli. I figured, why not? Ryan Snyder's in the Heezy. Ryan, good brother. What's up? Only can stay for a little while. Got to watch my Cowboys hopefully win. Very cool. Who are they playing tonight? I'm sorry, excuse my ignorance, but I haven't watched Thursday Night Football because it stinks. Like I do Thursdays live at 8:05, and I think they kick off at like 8:20. So I don't ever watch Thursday Night Football, even when my Steelers are going to be on it. The show comes first. Unless there's a family member in peril, the Grande's Graveyard comes first. Like the black Santa hat, got a yellow one somewhere too, dude. You know I've got a yellow one right on the back of this son of a bitch. This is the Steelers one. Just here, I don't know. My thing froze for a minute. I don't know. I guess I could turn it around here. I could turn it around, Zitro. We're rocking the Steelers one. I don't know. I figured it would just go black for the horror theme. So we're going to switch it all the way back. My hair is going to look fucking hilariously bad when I do take this son of a bitch off. But I don't know. I just figured black Santa hat. It's the time of the year. Saints, and they stink. We shall see. Saints don't have a quarterback. You should be okay. Granted, Dallas has been slacking lately, but they will completely fucking beat the Saints. I don't know what the spread is, but I would give the Saints points. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where you can find just a black Santa hat. So I was like, I don't know. This fits the theme and everything. So I figured to go from there. Also, because it's December, if you remember last year on the Graveyard when we dove into Christmas horror, I got one of my favorite beverages in the world. And no, it's not Mountain Dew. This is a seasonal drink. This is one of my favorite drinks of all time. This is eggnog time, yo. We're rocking eggnog on the Graveyard tonight. We've got my Iceman glass because it's icy fucking chilly outside. Beautiful. Your balls are chattering together as you walk to work. And I love every fucking minute of it. I love the cold weather. Always have, always will. So tonight on the Graveyard, we're drinking. Now, we're not going too hard yet. We're not going hard. They had a hard one, which was like a yellow one. And then they had this white light one. And I said, you know what? We're starting the season off. We're 2 days into DCM, so I figured, fuck it. We're going to start with light, eggnog. Oh, dude, don't you love when you open eggnog and it has that like nail polish smell? Like it smells like your fucking mother is doing her nails or something, but instead you get this delicious, icy cold fucking thick drink that I fucking adore. So we're going to drink some eggnog in the graveyard here tonight. Corey's here. King Need Gore. What's going on, good brother? Hey, little mama. Got to crash. Work at 3 a.m. again. I'll catch you soon. Sip that eggnog for me. Oh, you want to see me sipping on live for the camera? Okay. Iceman says Chars. I say Chars. Everybody, happy December. Cheers. Early cheers to the weekend, everybody. Chars, eggnog time. Yo. Oh, man. That's some fire eggnog. I don't know why. Like last year, I had a bunch of eggnogs on the show. There was one that was like really thick. It was almost like cake batter. But this, I don't know. Eggnog, I think it's okay thick, but not too thick. Like it can't be thicker than a Snicker. Like it's got to just be like almost like a cold melted shake or something. And that's what this is sort of like. Like a cold melted vanilla shake, like a malt. Really fucking good. That stuff kicks ass. I don't know about y'all. Ty Junebug Films in it, Heezy. What about Jack Daniels with eggnog? Hey, man, I don't drink, but if I'll tell you what, if we ever hang out, I'll bring the eggnog. You provide the Jack Daniels and maybe some Flamin' Hot Cheetos. I don't know. What are some of the snacks you like, man? You're the GOAT. Remember that. Rose. Oh, he's giving me roses. I love this guy. Wintertime slashing might be coming up. I don't know. You didn't hear it here. Did y'all hear it? I didn't hear it. I don't know. Miss C's in the Heezy. Miss C, how's it going? Oh boy, we have a troll in the graveyard. We're gonna put that user in timeout. And yep, okay, we blocked that son of a bitch. Hey Miss C, how's it going? Sorry, I didn't mean to stop saying hello to you. I just saw that bot. I did not want anything to go wrong. Flaming Hot Cheetos are pretty good, but Flaming Hot Fries are better. I'll have to second that, man. Have you ever had what the hell is it called? Fucking the Flamin' Hot Fries. It's in the bag. Like it's oh my god, dude, it's so fucking good. Like I forget the damn brand, but it's fire. Oh god, okay, we got a bunch of them now. Let's we're gonna have to block these motherfuckers. Block. Oh boy. Wow, this is the first time ever. We never really had trolls on the graveyard. That's a shame. And they picked my favorite month to do it, man. That's kind of lame. Block. It's a bot. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Won't let me block that one. Yeah, it is a bot. John Steele's in the Heezy. Smash the like, fuckers. Yeah, no, hopefully they don't dislike my video. I don't know. Andy Cap. How do I make somebody a fucking moderator? Because we need to block these motherfuckers, okay? Like, I don't need any of this in my... It won't let me block this person. I don't know. Yeah, it keeps saying an error occurred. If we put him in timeout, maybe that'll work. Okay. Just dumbasses. Yeah, sorry. Andy Cap. Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't understand it. It's because I shared you out. They want your peen. Sorry, bro. Mod somebody and they'll take care of them. Just ignore them. Okay, hold on. Before we get into things, I am going to mod somebody because I don't want fucking trolls on the graveyard. Sorry. Call me crazy, but we ain't going to have that tonight on the graveyard. So let me pull this up. Let me go into the live stream and we're going to make John Steele, you're a moderator. King Igor, you're a moderator. Oh, actually, you already are a moderator. So is Ty. Okay. I added John Steele. John Steele, you're a moderator. I didn't realize everybody else was moderators already. You're all moderators now, I think. Remember, mods select hide user from channel. Okay. Hey, me and Corey can just give the trolls the most epic smack talking of their life because we have the hammer. Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Get them out of here. Once they're hidden, they're pretty much blocked. Okay, excellent. Good shit. I think 3 of you are moderators, so thank you. Cheers to you. John Steele, I don't know if you were here, but we're drinking eggnog tonight, so cheers to you, brother. It's light eggnog. We're not going hard yet. We're just 2 days into the damn month, but cheers to you and everybody else. I hope you all have a safe, happy, wonderful weekend. Dude, I sort of want to down this. Can I down this? All right, I'm just going to down this. Now that is some fucking good nog, okay? We're going to be drinking that all night long. No, not me, but that's okay. Let the boys take care of it. Okay, yeah, no doubt. I didn't know that I already had them as moderators, to be perfectly honest. I wasn't sure. Yeah, no, Chuck. I don't know. I figured why not. But All right, we're about no rum in it. It ain't legit. No, I guess not. I don't know, man. I'm a big eggnog guy, though. I sort of love it. It's not just light. He's not smashing the naughty. There's nutmeg in there. There's some fucking cinnamon in there. So I don't know. I fucking love it. I'm a big nog guy. I got on my lunch hour today. I was like, graveyard tonight, December, eggnog. Like it's just it goes together like fucking peas and carrots, man. Whiskey and eggnog is pretty good too. I don't know. I'm not a drinker, so I could not. I will take y'all's word for it. I'll tell you that much. But without further ado, I guess we can dive right in. And I don't know. I didn't know which one I wanted to discuss first, the independent one or the more well-known one. I guess the more well-known one we could start with, and then we can kind of dive right into the independent one. But the first film I wanted to talk about here tonight, I think this is a classic horror movie, and it comes from one of my favorite directors of all time, a very underrated filmmaker, and Rob Reiner. This is his little movie from 1990. This is an adaptation of a Stephen King book, and this is Misery, 4K Ultra HD edition. I will talk a little bit about the edition and comparison to the Blu-ray that Shout Factory put out. Is this worth the upgrade? We can get into that, but I figured we'd discuss the movie first. Misery has got to be one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations, and I got to say that it's interesting to me how this movie came to be, because for the longest time they actually wanted to make this movie. For pretty much throughout the entire decade of the 1980s, they wanted to make this movie, and Stephen King said, I don't trust you. I think this is a very personal, near and dear movie to my heart, because in a lot of ways, I mean, this movie is about a writer that gets taken captive, and a lot of it is a commentary on the of trying to move on from what you're known for. Of course, Stephen King known for horror. In this movie, James Caan is known for romantic novels. And oh god, we're frozen a little bit here. I don't know. Are we okay now? I'm sorry about that. It was very near and dear to his heart. Similar vein to The Shining. And Stephen King did not like Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. That's a very famous, known trait in the horror community. Stephen King did not care for that film. Thus, he was hesitant to give anybody Misery, because if Stanley Kubrick, one of the most acclaimed and beloved filmmakers, didn't live up to, Stephen King's vision of The Shining, who could he possibly trust Misery to? And then in 1986, a little movie called Stand By Me came out, of course, directed by Rob Reiner, one of my favorite all-time movies. On my top 10, my top 20, top 10, 20 movies of all time. I absolutely love Stand By Me, Corey Feldman, Will Wheaton, River Phoenix, just Jerry O'Connell, one of my favorite movies of all time. And Stephen King said, that's like my favorite adaptation of anything I've ever written. So in turn, they met together and he said, I'm not comfortable with hardly anybody taking Misery on. But Rob Reiner, I think you're the guy to do it. And Rob Reiner had an interesting career up until this point, because if you've seen This Is Spinal Tap, one of my favorite mockumentary, rock star movies. I love This Is Spinal Tap. Of course, Stand By Me, like I mentioned. Of course, When Harry Met Sally, The Princess Bride. And slowly but surely, Rob Reiner kind of touched every single genre, right? Like Stand By Me, coming of age. This Is Spinal Tap, mockumentary. Princess Bride, fantasy, adventure, and then When Harry Met Sally, like a rom-com, if you will. He touched them all, pretty much all, except horror. And in steps Rob Reiner, and I think he hit an absolute fucking home run. I love this movie. We're going to get very into this. First comments. Grande, you'd love something we make called coquito. Same type of drink, essentially. Ooh, man, what's in it, man? Do tell, John Steele. I can't say enough good things about Misery. Me neither, Miss C. I think this is a brilliant movie. It really is. James Caan I always thought was kind of an underrated actor. Me too. It's funny, like he's in The Godfather. He's been in some big movies, but it always seems like he's sort of overshadowed. And I think this is one of the best performances of the guy's career. And it's funny, like Kathy Bates is the takeaway from this movie. She really does steal it. But I've heard some of the other actors that they wanted for James Caan. We'll go into that. No way. Like, I think they casted this movie perfect. I also really like Richard Farnsworth as the sheriff, Buster. I thought he was really good in this movie. Misery is one of the best movies of all time. Kubrick was way too ahead of his time to adapt work from a living artist. Shining will always be a perfect film. I agree The Shining is a perfect film. I think it's just Stephen King. He wrote that book, and it's very much about his alcoholism. And it was very personal to him. And to see somebody not to see. I don't think The Shining is a personal film to Stanley Kubrick. I think The Shining is just a horror masterpiece, and it really is a movie where the director is the star. And I think I could see why Stephen King dislikes it. It's one of those where you take the writer's work and the writer, you didn't do exactly what he wanted with it. He kind of turns out angry. But we all, as horror fans, you watch The Shining, you just know it's a masterpiece. It's one of those movies. That's where I throw the middle finger at King. I agree completely. The Shining is like in my top 3 horror movies of all time. I love that film, and I agree. I think I think Stephen King is a little petty with that stuff, but I can understand. Hey, he felt, hey, that was personal to me. That was about me getting over alcohol and battling that, and I get that. If somebody made The Shining out of something I wrote, you know what I mean? Something that good, I couldn't complain no matter how personal it was to me. But I don't know. I appreciate that Stephen King's at least honest. He's not going to lie to your face. Yep, that meathead Rob Reiner. Yeah, and that's crazy because, of course, Rob Reiner started as Meathead on All in the Family. It's actually pretty crazy how he became full circle, became one of my favorite all-time filmmakers. And even after this, films like The Bucket List, I really enjoy a lot of Rob Reiner films. Granted, he had a little speed bump in the road in 1994 with North. If you've ever seen North, that is a big piece of shit movie. Misery, though, it hits different. The older you get, the shifting of the power dynamic. First movie to give me anxiety when Caan is sneaking around the house trying to cover his tracks. Incredible. Really good stuff, man. He's fucking dripping in fucking sweat. Such good stuff. The only reason he did this movie, James Caan, was because he turned down The Shining and he did not want to turn down another Stephen King book. Now, believe it or not, I guess we could get into this now because I was going to mention, it later. They initially wanted quite a few actors. Warren Beatty, in fact, he auditioned with Kathy Bates. He was doing line readings. They were just about to shoot the film with Warren Beatty instead of James Caan. No disrespect to Warren Beatty. I love Bonnie and Clyde. Warren Beatty would not have been as good a choice as James Caan, in my opinion. And I like Warren Beatty, but no. I also heard Robert Redford at the time. No. Like James Caan was perfect for this. Perfect. And funny enough, with a huge thing with this movie that people don't discuss, the initial choice for Annie Wilkes, Julia Roberts. I'm not fucking kidding you. And all due respect to the pretty woman walking down the street with the yiddies flashing on to me. All due respect to the pretty woman and Tinker Bell from Hook, if you will, which was actually like a year after this. No. Like, I like her, but no, not for this. Like, really? And I don't know who shot it down. I think it was one of the producers or maybe even Rob Reiner shot down Julia Roberts and was like, no offense, that's a pixie. That's a pixie. We need somebody who's fucking bigger, right? Not star power bigger, but built bigger, a little bit bigger of a gal. Doesn't have to be a beast, but a little bit bigger, a little bit more physically intimidating. In steps Kathy Bates and gives the performance, I think, of her career, and one of my favorite all-time horror movie and just movie performances. Kathy Bates steals and owns this movie. It really is a flooring performance. It's like people that think when I'm drunk, I'm a better artist, when really you're trying to kill yourself and posing that question, but why? True poetry. Exactly. Honestly, Warren Beatty is one of those actors. He's a good actor, very good actor, but I've always thought he was kind of overrated. I just don't think he would have worked for this, man. I just don't. Who can possibly oh my God. We'll get to that then. One of the craziest scenes in horror history. Do you want to talk about overrated actress to Julia Roberts? Yeah, well, hey, man, I'm glad Julia Roberts was not in Misery. Like, can you fucking imagine? I wonder, I feel like this movie made fun of. Like, no. Don't worry if your video freezes up. Audio is coming through excellent. I got to go, unfortunately. Yiddies will be in touch soon. Let's watch Black Christmas sometime. Hey, I'm down with that. I'm always down with that, brother. As long as it's the 74 or the 06 version. As long as we don't watch the 2019 one where statues bleed toxic masculinity, by God. But thank you for checking out the show, Corey. I appreciate that. Red Rusty 66 is in the hazy. Love Misery, but Dolores Claiborne has my heart between the two movies. Hell yeah. I absolutely love Dolores Claiborne as well. That's a really good one. Jennifer Jason Leigh. And it's another Stephen King adaptation. That's one, I have not seen that in a long time. I don't own that one, I don't think. That's one of those that came in like a 4-pack and a 2-pack. Like, it was connected to everything, but I never picked up the pack. So I need to do that, Red Rusty. That's one I should pick up. Love all y'all. Stab that like for a moment. Thank you so much, Corey. I appreciate that. But yeah, man, just an absolute masterpiece. Of course, we can get a little bit into the story. James Caan plays Paul Sheldon. He's the writer of the famous Misery series of Misery Chastain, and he's finished that series, and the movie opens where he's trying to write his new novel. Of course, he has all these writer traditions, a bottle of champagne, a cigarette, and he decides to drive home in a fucking blizzard that he does not know is coming. Of course, he swerves off the road, and poor little old Annie Wilkes comes to the rescue to save him. And I'm your number one fan. I'm your number one fan. I'm your number one fan. Just an absolute transcending performance for the genre, in my opinion. And like, I do think that there were characters similar to the Annie Wilkes character before this. Like, and one of them I'll always say, you watch the Pamela Springsteen character in Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3. It's very similar to the Annie Wilkes character, where they both don't really curse. They have that moral element to them. Like, they want, in this movie, Annie Wilkes, Kathy Bates, she doesn't want Paul Sheldon to write cursing. She goes, Paul, there's too much swearing. There, I said it. Like this big thing. Like, she feels so bad for saying that he's going over the top of the swearing. But that goes such a long way, because when we find out the horrible things Annie Wilkes has done, it's unbelievable that she'd criticize anybody about morality. And that's a brilliant psychology to bring to a horror film antagonist, in my opinion. On paper, in the forefront, she's watching, Family Feud, and she's watching Matchmaker at night, eating Cheetos, just having a good grand old fucking time, reading these romance novels and hanging out with a pet pig. But deep down inside, man, there's just that dark side, that horrific side. And she can change, from good to bad on a dime in this movie. And it is absolutely fucking terrifying. I love her performance in this. Misery, the book series, I think it's safe to say it is a Gone with the Wind ripoff. Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. Annie Wilkes, the ultimate troll. Maybe that's why you had trolls, right? I don't know. Corey said that it was because he shared my video. I don't know what the reason was. She doesn't get out of the... Oh my God. So that's definitely I could add Mrs. Voorhees to that. Sure you could. Because of course, the morality of, I don't want this to happen to anybody else's son. I don't want this to happen to anybody else's kid. And that's why I'm doing the heinous acts that I'm doing. I love that psychology. I love gray antagonists. And Annie Wilkes is one of the best Stephen King characters of all time, I think, because of that. And I Red Rusty, he mentions it, the scene where she explains, these cliffhangers, right? When she says, when I was a kid, my favorite thing in the world to do was go down to the movie theater and watch the chapter plays. And there was Rocket Man, and they welded the door shut and they pushed the car down and it crashed and burned. And I was so excited. And next week, you better believe I was first in line. And, there was Rocket Man trying to get out. And all of a sudden he burst free and the crowd cheered. And I shout up, and they just cheated us. This isn't fair. He didn't get out of the cock-a-doodie car. I mean, just fantastic how she spins that, right? Here you have this woman who, I used to go to the movies. I used to go to the chapter plays. How many of us can relate to that? Absolutely. We can all relate to that. Granted, that's a little bit before my time, but like still, going to see the reels. And my grandmother always used to tell me the story of they'd play Mighty Mouse. They'd play a newsreel, all of this shit for just a quarter, and 2 movies back to back. And that's what it was to go back to the movies back in the day. And this was no different. She said that was her favorite thing to do growing up. But when you swerved it, and, obviously, when Rocket Man had looked like he died, he didn't. And she just absolutely couldn't stand that and got up and screamed. Have you all got amnesia? Just fantastic how they switched that. Humanizes her, and then all of a sudden, this is a crazy bitch. And it's written all over James Caan's face. James Caan does a lot of acting in this film without saying anything. There's a lot of scenes where you could just look at his face and you know exactly what James Caan's thinking. It's fantastic. Gone with the Wind, Blaine, and hey, oh boy, this old man saw this at the $1 show twice. Wow. Now, funny enough, this release date was almost 31 years ago to the day. This was released November 30th, 1990. Released and opened the same weekend as a little movie called Home Alone. Absolutely fucking wild. This and Home Alone came out the same week. It's funny, both movies take place in a home. It's and the fucking protagonists are alone, I guess. It's fucking weird. But while Home Alone, took over the world, this one was actually number 2 in the weekend box office. I believe it grossed $10 million in its opening week, went on to gross like $60 million. So it was a modest hit. I believe this was made for, oh God, I can't remember the numbers, but I know it was a modest hit. I think this was maybe, 10, 15 million, maybe even 20 million, but it made like 60 plus million. It was a big hit considering of what it went up against. It was released in the wintertime, of course, late November, early December. That's when people want to see horror movies. I mean, especially the cold atmospheric ones like these. It's okay to have different opinions. I will enjoy Gone with the Wind, John, so you don't have to. You do that, June. Okay. Hey, and guess what? Probably one of the best movies that Alfred Hitchcock did not direct feels so Hitchcockian. Yes, this does feel very Hitchcockian. And I really commend Rob Reiner for kind of stepping out of his comfort zone and making a movie like Misery. Because, like I said, he had done so many things. And it was almost like, you want to do horror now? Like you're established now. Usually people make horror and then make the movie that they want to establish their name more. And he did it in the reverse. He established himself and then said, hey, give me that Stephen King horror movie. And man, it's just a wonderful film. He does a great job at directing some of the tension sequences. There's a great scene that Corey was mentioning before where he tells her, Annie, you've got me the wrong paper. This one smudges. And is there anything else I can get you when I'm at the store, huh? I wish you'd just appreciate me. He just slams it down in his legs. Just fucking total crazy bitch. She drives out to the town and he finds this bobby pin on the floor. He unlocks it and he's kind of rolling around the house in this wheelchair and, banging into things and trying to find a way out, trying to find a phone. He sees the phone has no cord. He knocks into this table and this little penguin falls off. He catches the penguin, puts it back. You don't think anything of it at the time. At least the first time I saw this, I did not think anything of that little penguin. That's not going to come back to do anything. Sure enough, Annie Wilkes knows that my penguin always points due south. Fantastic. Like, oh my God, this crazy bitch. She knows where her furniture is pointed, like her little things on her furniture. She knows. She's got it all micromanaged in her crazy mind. Brilliant stuff. He finds the book of Memory Lane, of course, where you see that Annie Wilkes was this nurse and all of these newborn infants were being killed off at the hospital that she was, the lead nurse for, and all these other nurses that she killed to get the head position. Just horrifying what you learn about this character. Of course, you do learn that she was married previously. And she's looking out the window and she says, sometimes I get the blues and, I wasn't prepared when my husband left me. And they don't go for sympathy per se, but there is a part of my heart that feels bad. And it's funny because of all she killed nurses, she killed newborn infants. I mean, she was bad news, man. Annie Wilkes was bad news, but you do feel bad because it's kind of the whole thing of loneliness sort of played, a victim in her life. She was really played the biggest victim to loneliness. And I think that's a slight modest thing that Misery touches on that not a lot of people talk about is the horrors of loneliness, right? Like we talk about isolationism in films like The Shining, but I do think that there's a big, part to Annie Wilkes' character that is loneliness. What does somebody do when they get alone? They get really into other things. She got really invested in Misery. And when she finds out that Paul Sheldon kills Misery from childbirth in the last book, I don't want her spirit. I want her. Absolutely freaks out and just puts on the craziest performance. It's really, I think, a nice kind of look into the horrors of loneliness one can feel. And Kathy Bates drives that home. And even though you're not supposed to feel sympathetic at all, at least I don't think you are, a part of me does feel bad. It's like, damn, like her husband left her. She had all these horrible things happen, but she is bad news at the end of the day and she's got to go. Do you know there's a stage play where Bruce Willis plays the James Caan role? I didn't know that. That's interesting. I don't know. Bruce Willis could probably pull it off. The Master of Fear is here. What's going on, good brother Devin? Hope all is well with you tonight. Turns it the wrong way. I'm not crazy, but I'd noticed that shit too. LMAO. Yeah, no, see, I when I first saw the movie, I was like, oh man, I thought the whole point of it was, oh, if it falls, it's gonna break and she'll know if it's gone. You know what I mean? He catches it, and I'm like, oh, and even he breathes that sigh of relief. And then later in the film, she's like, I know you've been out, by the way. And I was like, wait, what? Like, she's like, my penguin in the den, it always points due south. I was like, oh my God, like she knows, man. Just absolutely brilliant stuff. Really, really brilliant. I love the scene where she comes in and says, Paul, you're going to have to do me a favor. What is it, Annie? I need you to burn your book. She comes in with a giant grill and his brand new book. He hasn't made a copy of the book. So this is his brand new novel, moving on from the 8-book Misery series, moving on, trying to become a new writer in a new genre. And she makes him burn it all. She pours all of this fucking gasoline, and at first he's resisting. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And she goes, it would be a shame. As she starts to pour the gasoline on him, and she's like, it would be a shame if this was to catch fire. Absolutely crazy. He has to burn his own book in front and, watch it go down in front of his eyes. Just a really malicious thing to do to somebody, in my opinion. Just really fucking malicious. And that's another thing too with this, and why I think it's so personal for Stephen King. Is the whole motif with James Caan, right? Like James Caan is only known for these romantic books. That's his bread and butter. And, here he meets his number one fan who wants him to stick to what he does forever and ever and ever. And he wants to branch out and do these new things. And this is really, I think, for Stephen King, this is like the horrors of, his toxic fans, if you will, that say, oh, all you can write is horror. You can't do anything else. Meanwhile, he wrote The Body, which is, what Stand By Me was created from, which is one of my favorite coming of age films of all time. He doesn't mean that you're just stereotyped to one genre, and Stephen King, I think that's why this was so personal to him. And a lot of people will tell you this is like more of a thriller. I don't agree with that at all. This is a straight up horror movie, in my opinion, and a damn good one in that. Of course, probably the main scene that everybody mentions in this, and the thing that sticks out in everybody's mind, is the hobbling scene where Kathy Bates explains, what they used to do back in the day. They would make sure that the people would still work, but they had to make sure that they wouldn't run away. And they called this hobbling, as she puts this giant block of wood between James Caan's feet and a giant sledgehammer. And fucking James Caan, Annie, don't. It's for the best. Whacks his fucking feet, and his feet break. And just, you feel that pain, man. I know so many people that have a hard time watching that scene, because anybody that watches Broken Bones, it could just absolutely, like my dad, he has to leave the room. Like, he can't watch somebody get their leg broken or their arm broken. He'll get physically fucking sick. And they show it here. It's a great special effect. I believe Greg Nicotero did the effect. Absolutely fantastic. They don't show the other one, but again, once you show the first one, you get the idea of how bad it is. And James Caan's scream, it's just, oh my God, you're like, holy fucking shit, this is crazy. Just really, really crazy stuff. And like, that's a scene where people go, oh, this is just a thriller, Grande. I'm like, yeah, watch the hobbling scene, bitch. Tell me that's a thrill. Tell me the thriller you see that in, all right? Tell me any thriller you can see something that hardcore and brutal in. I'll wait to hear your response. But, there's other things in this movie I love too. Of course, there's a scene, Annie, will you have dinner with me? They have dinner together, and he's planning on drugging her with all these pills that she gives him, and he's taking the capsules apart, and he's planning to drug her, drink, and kill her while she sleeps. Of course, she accidentally, which I don't know how people feel about that. Do you think she accidentally spilled the wine? I think deep down inside, she somehow knew. I really do. That this character, there was nothing that was going to go over Kathy Bates' head in this. I really think she knew. Although they insinuate that she didn't. I always felt that she knew. Like, there's no, it was too convenient to be an accident for me. I don't know. That's what I thought. But you have that Liberace song playing. I'll be seeing you again. I mean, creepy. And they somehow made Liberace creepy. How is that possible? But they did it. Similar vein to making the Cordettes creepy and Mr. Sandman. And of course Halloween 2. That's how did they do it? Like, and John Denver music and fucking Final Destination. How do they do it sometimes? And I think it was just, Rob Reiner. I give Rob Reiner all the credit in the world. Of course, I adore the finale of this, and I always thought it was a brilliant way where Paul Sheldon, he's writing the book, and the last page, Annie, we're going to need that wine. We're going to need the cigarette. And she brings everything. He goes, one more thing. What is it, Paul? We're going to need another glass. She goes out to get the other glass so they could drink the champagne together. And he takes the entire novel, pours it in the fucking gasoline, lights the match, and you want to know what happened? Will it be Winthorpe? Will it be Ian? And you see her just like, don't do it. Don't do it. Why not? I learned it from you. Bam, burns the fucking book. And she goes, oh my God, no. She tries to put the fire out and he takes the typewriter. Bam. And we're off to the races with a very fun final finale battle between pro and antagonist. Just fantastic stuff. I love James Caan. You know what, you need to eat it. He's fucking shoving it in her face because this is raw pent-up emotion that you're building up pretty much almost 2 hours. This movie is. It's an hour, almost about an hour and 47 minutes. This is about 2 hours. You're building up to that point where they're going to fight. And it's just such a good payoff. They're battling each other. Of course, I love that Kathy Bates breaks character. I'm going to kill you, you cocksucker. What? Like, oh my God. Like, because she's never saying anything like that throughout the whole film. It's you cock-a-doodie, or, she's all moral. But when the chips are down, when the shit's really hitting the fan, all of a sudden she just yells at him. She's like, you're a cocksucker. Holy shit. Like, fantastic as they battle each other, and a very fun finale in my humble opinion. Almost shit myself at the hobbling scene. My dad too. My dad cannot watch that scene to this day. Annie is OCD to the max. Yes, she is. That is very true. Lots of folks don't understand there are horror genres that don't have gore and guts, like psychological horror. Yeah, that's the thing, Russ. Like, a lot of people tell me, oh, Silence of the Lambs, that's not a horror movie, Grande. That's not a horror movie. I feel like this and Silence of the Lambs are two movies that people come up to me a lot and go, oh, well, that's not horror. Let's not, like, people, and it's generally people that don't like horror. And I'm just like, wait a minute. Because it's well directed, well acted, and doesn't have blood and guts, that's why you don't think it's horror. Like, a lot of people say Silence of the Lambs is, oh, that's a psychological thriller. Same with this. This is a psychological thriller. No, it's just like, this is horror. Like, fucking Silence of the Lambs has a fucking cannibal that eats people in it. And, it has a good night, horses. I mean, Silence of the Lambs is a horror movie. It is. It loves the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again. And this too. This is a horror film. I don't care what anybody says. That bitch troll knew she spilled the wine. I agree. I completely fucking agree. I might be the only person that thought that. Like, I'm glad Ty agrees with me here. But man, I always thought she somehow knew. Because she plays it off like, oh, will you be mad at me? And it's never said if she knew or not. Like, she never even in the struggle. I knew you were trying to kill me before. It never comes out. But deep down inside, I think she knew somehow, some way. Rest in peace, Buster and Richard Farnsworth. Yes. Of course, Richard Farnsworth, they have this subplot where he is trying to find James Caan's character of Paul Sheldon. He believes that he's really alive, and he's studying, he's reading the Misery books and trying to figure out, where he may have just gone. They find his car, and everybody else assumes he's dead except Richard Farnsworth's character, who I think does a really good job in this. Of course, Richard Farnsworth, I always remember him for a little movie called The Straight Story, which is a really good David Lynch film. He sadly passed away. He apparently had really bad like back spasms, or he was apparently in so much pain that he actually committed suicide towards the end of his career and his life. So may he rest in peace. That was just a horrible thing to hear when I heard it. But he's an excellent actor, and I love him in this, love him in The Straight Story. Richard Farnsworth's very underrated, and I like him in this. They do a really cool tension sequence where he figures out that Annie might just be holding him captive. He goes over and, they kind of work you ABC. Can I get you, Coco? They're both playing very babyface at each other. but both of them suspect the other. And it's almost like you're waiting for the bomb to go off. And Rob Reiner does an excellent job at building that tension and paying it off, where Paul Sheldon knocks down the grill and he opens the door. Mr. Sheldon, boom, shotgun blast. He blows in half. And it's just absolutely wild. You're just like, oh my God, like no one can save him now. And it's funny, like it's not something that you necessarily want. Like you know it's coming. You know he's probably doomed because he went up there alone. I always felt that Richard Farnsworth should have just got somebody to go with him, you know, and maybe that wouldn't have went down. But going alone, Annie Wilkes knew that she could get away with it, you know, and then that kind of leads you into the finale. This is a great horror movie, in my opinion, just a really, really great one. Trust me, if you know the penguin was turned the wrong way, you knew he was trying to poison you. She knew. I agree. Okay, so I'm not alone in this. I mentioned it to I watched it with my mom, and my mom was like, gee, I don't know. She was like, I never thought of that. She's like, maybe. You know, we were talking about that, and I figured I'd mention that on the show tonight. I think she knew for sure. Like, but I do like that they leave it up to the viewer. Like, it's never, ever mentioned. He was terminal, but that's right. Yes. Also terminal with some, that's so sad. Yeah, no. And he was apparently in so much fucking pain that he blew his head off, which is heartbreaking because he was a fantastic actor. The main take from Stephen King works is to stay away from Maine. Yeah. When somebody says creepy Maine stuff, you know you're fucked. You're going way up there, huh? Yeah. Why? What is wrong with it up there? It's fucking Maine. They apparently have fire lobster. I don't know, but of course, I love the finale of this too. After he gets rid of Annie Wilkes, you see several months later, he's limping and goes to meet with his agent. And how would you feel about writing a nonfiction book about what went on in that house? You know, I'm not interested in that, but in some way, Annie Wilkes helped me, which I thought was a very interesting, like, point here. And I don't know if that's like personally, I would be like, Jesus Christ, but no, like he took away and sort of made the best out of a horrible situation. He sees this waitress approaching. He kind of looks up and it's Kathy Bates for a little bit. And then when it cuts back, it's another actress. And she goes, let me just tell you something. I'm your number one fan. He smiles and we kind of fade to black. Great movie, great horror movie. Misery to me, there's nothing wrong with this movie to me. This is like a 10 out of 10 for me. I love this. A top 10 Stephen King adaptation? Absolutely. One of my top 10 favorite all-time horror movie performances from Kathy Bates. Of course, she netted the Best Actress Oscar that year. Just absolutely nailed it, in my opinion. I believe she's the only actress from a Stephen King or actor or actress from a Stephen King adaptation to win an Oscar. So that's really cool. And I think it was well deserved because Kathy Bates just absolutely owns this movie. Yeah, no, the creepy Maine stuff, bro. You hear that Maine stuff, you best be running or driving or anywhere else in the other direction because Maine is not fucking safe. Humphrey Bogart's wife did a pretty good job in this movie too. Yes. Oh God, what's her damn name? Maybe it's saying on the back here. Frances Sternhagen. She was also in like Frank Darabont's The Mist. She's good in this as well. I like her a lot. She plays Richard Farnsworth's wife. That's mainly the cast. It's those four. Like it briefly cuts to Richard Farnsworth and his wife, but it's mostly like 85 to 90% of the movie is James Caan and Kathy Bates going back and forth. And to me, it's horror done very right, in my opinion. That's right. Lauren Bacall. Okay, Lauren Bacall plays the agent. That's right. I thought you were talking about the other woman in it. I'm not that clinical. I like to think Annie was so caught up in the moment she actually spilled the wine. But great points about that scene. Yeah, see, that's the other thing. She's head over heels in love with him. She even comes in the room at a point and she goes, "I love you, but don't tell me that you love me back because I know you don't." Like she knows that it's a one-way street. She's not like, and a lot of movies do that where like a killer or somebody that they'll think that the person automatically loves them back, right? Like that's a big thing. I love that she knows that he doesn't give a shit and he wants to get out of there. She knows it. She's not kidding herself. She's not lying to herself. She's not lying to us as an audience. I know you don't love me. Don't tell me you do. Don't bullshit me. I'm carrying this gun right now. Don't fucking bullshit me because I'll blow your head off. You know, just absolutely like really good character psychology. I think the character itself has got to be Stephen King's best. It's such a good character. It's so well written. And, no offense to Julia Roberts, but Jesus Christ. Can you imagine this movie with Julia Roberts and Warren Beatty? Like, I don't even think it would be half as good. I really don't. Like, I don't think it would have worked. Granted, Rob Reiner can make anything work unless it's North. But this is a great movie. 10 out of 10 for me. I'll do a brief 4K review of this. Of course, I know a lot of people have the Shout Factory Blu-ray. If you do, and you're a big features person, I would say keep it for the features, because this is missing the interview with Rob Reiner. There's an audio commentary with Rob Reiner. There's also missing the interview with Greg Nicotero. Those two interviews aren't on here. However, you get a bunch of other interviews. You get audio commentary by the screenwriter, William Goldman. You get Diagnosing Annie Wilkes, a featurette, Advice for the Stalked featurette, Profile of a Stalker featurette. A lot of stuff to do with stalking in the features in this, which I think is pretty cool. Unfortunately, no interview with Kathy Bates or James Caan, which that's a shame, because I'd love to see interviews with them, like updated interviews. Because for both of them, that's got to be like my favorite movie from both of them. I really do. I believe that. Now, as far as picture quality goes, though, this beats the shit out of that Blu-ray. This is a great 4K special edition. This has Dolby Vision, HDR10. They did a completely different color grading of this, and they corrected the aspect ratio, the incorrect framing that's on the Shout Factory edition. It's incorrect framing, and it's a brand new color grading. You'll never see this movie look better than how it looks in this edition. It is absolutely incredible, from Kino Lorber. I believe it's like $24 now, so you can get it for fairly cheap. I mean, for 4K, that's not bad at all. Usually most 4Ks now, special edition 4Ks, are going to run you up of $30 and $40. So I definitely think this is worth the $24 purchase if you don't already have the Shout Blu-ray, because the features on that, you are getting a downgrade on the features in this. But picture quality, absolute upgrade. And the sound, transfer, I believe it's the same exact audio track that's on the other Blu-ray. So I would say get this. This is a great 4K special edition. I love Kino Lorber. They just did a sale in October. This was one of the standout pickups from that. I got a bunch of good stuff from that. I did a video on that as well. Let's see. Yeah, Julia Roberts would work, but only if that piece of shit that my doctor today would work as Annie. Oh shit. I don't know. I guess, geez. I don't know, Ty. I think in a lot of ways they needed to go with more of an unknown, and not that Kathy Bates hadn't done stuff before this, but this was really the movie that launch padded her career. I mean, I don't think you have a Dolores Claiborne without this movie first. And apparently Stephen King, when he wrote Dolores Claiborne, was like, yo, Kathy Bates has to play this if they ever make a movie, So, of course, the American Horror Story cameos, and The Water Boy, and About Schmidt. We love Kathy Bates. Kathy Bates has done so many great movies. And I like to think that this film was really the launch pad of her acting career. And to me, one of the performances as a horror fan that I'm so proud of. Like, every time I think, like, somebody says, oh, there's shitty acting in horror movies, you could point right to Kathy Bates in Misery and go, oh, yeah, watch this one. Tell me what you think. So, I don't know. That is neither here nor there, but I don't know. I love Rob Reiner's Misery. Great, great movie. But moving on. So that's the one that people know. That's the one that most people have seen in here. But this next one I talk about, I think it's a very underrated movie. And I've been wanting to discuss this one on the Graveyard for quite some time now. And I've also wanted to discuss this filmmaker for quite some time on Grande's Graveyard now, because he's one of those guys that I really look at, and I see, I hate to use this phrase, but like a what could have been, and not that he had wasted potential, but I think the genre and the business itself of Hollywood, it could be very slimy sometimes, and it could be a very business. And, that's why I always quote the great Gene Wilder. I love the show. I hate the business. And I think the business side of things is the reason that this particular filmmaker was not and did not become bigger in, years to come. I really think this guy could have been a big star. And I still think he's turned out some great work. But this is from 2003. This is from writer-director Dante Tomaselli. This is horror. Yes, horror from 2003. A very under talked about little movie. And you know, I that's what tonight really a big reason why I wanted to do this graveyard episode. And as much as I love Misery, went on about Misery, this is really the movie that I'm more looking forward to, you know, putting over on this show. Of course, Dante Tomaselli, if for people that don't know, he actually born and raised in New Jersey. I believe either his father or his uncle was a composer on a little movie called Alice, Sweet Alice, from the 70s. It's like an American style giallo film. Really, really good, Alice, Sweet Alice. Of course, people always mention it for, it's like one of the first movies that Brooke Shields was ever in, and she gets burned to death in the first like 5 minutes. Fucking crazy movie. Really good stuff too. I highly recommend. Arrow has a Blu-ray of it out. Awesome cover art. Great movie. But Dante Tomaselli, he grew up like seeing, you know, his family members work on these movies, and he always aspired to be a filmmaker. And in 1999, he came out with a little movie called Desecration, which is a very strange and evil film about the occult. And it's Desecration's a damn good movie. And this was his follow-up. This was his sophomore effort horror from 2003. And I guess I can give a brief plot synopsis on this. This basically tells the story of this group of 5 teens that escape a drug rehabilitation center, and they basically stumble upon this house and slowly but surely come into contact with some absolutely crazy shit. Well, meanwhile, we follow this character named Grace, and she is experiencing all these sort of hallucinogenic nightmares. And it's just a very interesting movie. I love this movie. I love horror. I think this is a really underrated, undersung little movie from the early 2000s. Let's get see comments here. Come Back to the Five and Dime was Kathy's first movie I saw her in with Cher. Oh, that's cool. Never heard of this one. Please school me. Oh, I'm about to dedicate you, good brother. What dedication here? Never heard of it either. Okay, good. See, that's a big reason I wanted to do this. I love Alice, Sweet Alice too. Totally, really, really good movie. But Dante Tomaselli, man. My moderators, please take care of these. Oh no, moderators, please help me out. But this is distracting. I'm sorry. This is a very interesting little movie, though, and it's everything that I love about the horror genre. Dante Tomaselli, did he have a lot of money? No. Did Dante Tomaselli have the greatest actors and actresses in the world? No. Very low budget. But what he does bring to the table, I think, is a great atmosphere, a great aesthetic, and a great style to horror filmmaking. And the guy is very knowledgeable on the genre. I watched the commentary on this. And that guy is just so smart. So like, I aspire to be as smart as Dante Tomaselli is. Of course, you follow the lead character in the movie, Grace, and her parents are very abusive and, you know, torturing her with all these religious sayings and stuff like that. And there's these great sequences where Grace is kind of, you know, locked in her room, and she sees this sort of melting, you know, angel caricature on the fucking balcony. Very trippy looking. This is a very trippy film. This is a very like incoherent nightmare psychedelic movie. And I love every minute of it. I mean, it's just a really interesting nightmare. Of course, you have the great Kreskin, who he plays the girl's grandfather in this, and he's trying to slowly but surely kind of wean her into his trust. And you know that he's bad news. Just really creepy stuff. This is one of those movies that it is a little bit hard to explain because it's all over the place. It's almost like watching a nightmare. It's like a 70-minute long nightmare. It's a very short film. So anybody who has like I don't want to watch it if it's long, this is 70 minutes with credits. So this is a very short movie. But it's just some of the stuff that happened in this creeps me the fuck out. There's a scene where the kids, they're driving along after escaping the rehabilitation center. And they are like, fucking, like, let's party, let's celebrate. They all take these shrooms, and one of their friends has a horrible reaction. He turns like all blue and he's freezing, and they're like, we have to get him warmth. We have to get him warmth. So they pull over, they go to this house. And of course, this takes place all in the winter time. You see mysterious black goats, like, you know, visions of these devil goats, if you will, really creepy stuff. They get into the house, and, you know, they encounter Grace. And, you know, your whole movie kind of takes place from there. It's just one by one crazy nightmarish sequences going on. And Dante Tomaselli is one of those guys to me that I wish he had gotten a better shake in the business. Of course, he made this, Desecration, Satan's Playground, and The Torture Chamber. That's his 4 films. Unfortunately, none of them he had a great budget for. And I don't know if the guy's retired now, but it's one of those guys that you don't hear from much anymore. Torture Chamber came out a while ago, so I'm assuming he's done. He's not going to make anything else, unfortunately, which is a damn shame because I really like his style and what he brings to the genre. And a lot of people watch this and go, "Oh, this is very incoherent," and it is. And upon first watching, you may not know what the fuck's going on. That's why it's an interesting movie to review because I don't really know. It's so complicated, this movie. I don't even know exactly how to explain it. But it's horror done right, in my opinion, because it is so dreamsicle. It's so unsettling. It's everything I love to love in a good independent horror movie, where he, accentuates the positives and he hides the negatives. Let me accentuate what I do best: scare sequences, creating tension. There's this great scene where Grace, she wakes up and her face is all disfigured. And she does this and she's trying to, hopefully it'll go away. She takes her hands away and she's all right. But it's sort of foreshadowing what's happened to her doll in the beginning of the film. Her doll kind of melted away. And she doesn't want this to happen to her, but it's slowly but surely happening. There's this great sequence where they're sitting in the room and you can see there's this painting behind them of her grandfather. And it slowly turns from a grandfather to a screaming grandfather all the way into this goat. And it becomes like this passageway where they all go down. And it's like, what the fuck's going on right now? Just really creepy stuff as he puts Grace in this sort of torture rack and stretches her out as she screams for him to stop. I mean, horrifying, man. Absolutely horrifying. There's a fantastic shot where one of the I think Jessica Pagan, she runs outside and there's this great shot of this tree. And it's this really old school willow tree. And they have this great cinematography lighting shot where she runs and she's trying to get help and she's trying to wave down a car. And this like hooded assailant pops out from behind the tree. You never see him until he bursts into frame. Whack! I mean, whacks her right in the fucking head. Like, oh my God, like absolutely horrifying. Let's see. The porn bots are coming into, yeah, no, unfortunately. John, why are they going to Grande? Maybe they should go to Pornhub. I would agree with that. They're all over YouTube. Absolutely. I just did look him up because I do like him as a director. Apparently he's directing a movie called The Doll, and unfortunately a remake of Alice Sweet Alice. That may not be, I don't think he's remaking Alice Sweet Alice, although I do know that he had a family member that worked on the original. He's actually on the Blu-ray. There's an interview with him on the Blu-ray. Just a very knowledgeable guy. The horror is trying to find the movie named horror on eBay in the search. LMAO. Oh my God. Yeah, no. Try Amazon horror 2003. That's where I got it. It's like $15. Elite Entertainment put this out. Good independent horror company, in my opinion. But this is, like I was saying before, accentuating the positives, hiding the negatives. He didn't have the greatest actors in the world. He doesn't have the greatest budget in the world. So what does he do? He makes up for it with these great, psychedelic atmospheres. And this movie has a wonderful atmosphere. And you can feel the cold of this movie. He shot this in late December of 2001 into January 2002. Upstate New York, and it is cold just watching this movie. It really is. There was a great behind the scenes story where the cinematographer, the director, and the great Kreskin, they were all in this car, and they want to do the scene where the grandfather, Kreskin, and Grace are sitting in the passenger seat and driver's seat and talking about whatever, the occult. And they were like, okay, let's go out to here. We just want to film this location. So he's driving them along. The cinematographer's in the passenger seat, the director's in the back seat. They're driving along. All of a sudden, fucking Kreskin, the actor, hits a patch of ice, and they go fucking swerving off the road and crash into this fucking like horse pen. And all of these horses started fucking running around going crazy. And Kreskin and company, they crashed into a tree. This really happened in like a 1977 black Cadillac. Could you imagine that? One of your lead actors, the director and the cinematographer, all in the same car, veering off the road into almost a horse pen. Thank God no horses were harmed. And they hit this fucking tree. Like, they all could have died. It's absolutely insane. Of course, they ended up having to pay for the cars. So that took a lot of their money from their no-budget film. I mean, it's just crazy how these things happen. But in vain, they, instead of doing the scene in the car, they decided, let's do it at a church. And they film in this church, and it is a very, very creepy scene where Grace and Kreskin are talking about, her father. And she makes this like kind of portrait of him. And she goes, see this picture? This is what I feel about my father. Whenever I think about my father, this is the picture that comes to mind. And it's almost like a demonic looking priest with bloodshot eyes. And it's a creepy painting. Really, really creepy to look at. Just horrifying, man. Just, oh man, this movie really does give me the chills. This is a scary fucking film. Of course, there's this scene where one of the main kids that, gets out of the drug rehabilitation, he is so afraid in the house, he says, I'm going to make a run for it. And he runs out of the house, and all of these demons / zombie things are outside, and he's trying to run through them all. He falls, knocks his head down, and kind of wakes up, and he looks around, and it's almost like he's in heaven. He thinks he's in his heaven. There's candy. There's all sorts of inviting lights and stuff. It's a great cinematography shot as the cinematography kind of pans out into what looks like, anybody's like wannabe heaven, a pathway to the wannabe heaven. And he follows it down. He's taking off lollipops and eating them and walking down. And what I think, in my interpretation, I really think it's the gateway to hell. I think it's all beautiful and shiny to draw you in. And as he goes down, I think it's the gateway to hell. And it's a really interesting sort of motif. See, Dante Tomaselli, he's not one to tell you what a movie is or what a meaning is. He really leaves it up to the viewer. And if you like imaginative horror films and horror films where you can draw your own conclusions, this is one of them. And another thing in this movie is the motif of keys. Every now and again, we see these same 3 keys pop up. At one point, Grace's mother has it. At one point, the security guard has it. At one point, Kreskin has it. What are these keys? Everybody and their mother has these keys. What are they for? You never explained. It's never told. It's in similar vein to like Pulp Fiction. What was in the briefcase? I don't know. It's whatever you want it to be. Maybe it was, Ving Rhames' soul. That's a big, conspiracy theory. And same with Mulholland Drive. What is the blue key? What does it mean? And then the same thing in this. What are those 3 keys symbolize? I don't know. I think personally, and I have my own thoughts. I think those keys are almost the gateway to hell, and I think that's why Danny Lopes, when he's on the pathway to what he thinks is heaven, I think when he gets to the gate, I think that's the gate of hell. I think it's the gates of hell, and he opens them up and enters, unknowingly. Very creepy stuff, man. The cinematographer does an excellent job in this movie of giving this really trippy atmosphere. And I will not lie. This is a movie that when you watch it, you might be like, what the fuck? Like, this is one of those movies you could watch it twice in a row and try to figure it out, and you still might not figure anything out. It's a very trippy, psychedelic film. I think people that like psychedelic drugs would love this fucking movie. And that's a thing that Dante Tomaselli kind of has in all of his movies. And desecration, drugs is a big theme. In this movie, of course, they escape a drug rehabilitation center. There's a brief scene in the in a flashback where Felicia Rose from Sleepaway Camp shows up in this movie, and she's the art director. And he goes, art director, look what I drew. And it's the same drawing we see from before that Grace drew of her father. And she's like, that's funny. The girl, she made this drawing from down the hall. And he runs over and he sees Grace, and she's, hooked up on life support. Like, oh my God, Grace. He's shaking the bed trying to figure out what's going on. Just really fucking scary stuff, because it doesn't make much sense. You're just like trying to piece all this together. And it's so cool to see Felicia Rose in this because, of course, Dante Tomaselli, born and raised in New Jersey, a little film called Sleepaway Camp was filmed in New Jersey. And he said he could remember going to see that movie as a kid, and then so surreal 20 years later working with the same actress. and making her scream. He kept saying, "Open your mouth wider and wider." It was sort of his tribute to Sleepaway Camp and what that movie meant to him. You know, Dante Tomaselli, I just think the world of. I think he was such a interesting, filmmaker. And I remember after this movie came out, this had some buzz on the message boards, and people were putting this movie over. Unfortunately, now it's funny. Like if you go on IMDb, this gets low ratings. Most of Dante Tomaselli's films get pretty low ratings, which I don't understand. But this was a movie. After this came out, I remember hearing, that they were going to remake Halloween, and everybody and their mother, who's going to direct it? Who's going to direct it? They ended up going with Rob Zombie, but the number one independent name I heard that was batted around for that Halloween remake was Dante Tomaselli. And in my opinion, man, that should have been his big break into going from independent to big budget, working with a studio like Dimension Films at the time. I think that would have been a really cool step for Dante Tomaselli. And while I'm always pro making independent horror, and he's done it. I mean, Satan's Playground, a really fun independent. Desecration. The Torture Chamber, I remember being the weakest of his 4 films, but I would have liked to have seen what Dante Tomaselli would have done with the mainstream money. We look at all these guys that have made it. We look at Mike Flanagan. We look at James Wan. We look at all these new school guys, Eli Roth. And there are some I like, there are some I don't like. And regardless of whether you do or don't, to me, it's a damn shame that Dante Tomaselli is never mentioned with those guys, because he really never got that big break. And he's a guy that's never really talked about. And I think a lot of that, it's a damn shame, man. It really is, because I think this is a damn good horror movie that I think everybody should see this. I really like horror. Misery is one of the best horror films ever, and I have never seen horror. That was the main reason, Aiden, I really wanted to do. And by the way, welcome to the show. That was the main reason. I know everybody has seen Misery, and this is a movie I adore, and I put it over. I mean, I did like a 30-minute review. Like, I love this movie. Don't get me wrong. But that's the beauty of sometimes doing, tag teaming up here, because everybody's going to probably want to know this, but I don't know how many people have really seen this. So it's really nice to kind of try to introduce people to new horror movies, winter themed horror movies in December here. So that's pretty cool. Have not seen it either. Okay. What is the movie called? Movie? Very simple. It's called Horror. Horror movie called Horror. I don't know. Doesn't get any simpler than that, but I don't know. I really like this one. Red Rust, yeah, he looked it up on IMDb. 3.8 out of 10 on IMDb, but that usually makes me more interested in a horror film. Critics are a joke, especially with horror. I don't understand that. Like, okay, if you're going to give it that low, you're obviously probably not familiar with independent horror. That's my thing. Like, and don't get me wrong. Okay, if you don't like incoherent dreamsicle horror, not for you. It's not. This is not a movie where you're going to go, that I saw the whole thing coming. No, like, this is a very, it's all over the place, but that's kind of what I like about it. Don Belville, Don Nice and Easy. What up, pimps? Yo, good brother. Happy December. I drank this at the outright of the show, so I just want to say cheers. Little eggnog and DCMbre, brother. Cheers to you, man. Hope you have a nice week and an awesome weekend. Sounds interesting. Under 90 minutes is my wheelhouse. Where did you find your copy? Amazon had it for like $15. That's a few months ago. This is 70 minutes long, so it's very short. And I got to be honest, I highly recommend, if you watch it once, watch it with the commentary. Watch it with Dante Tomaselli. It is one of my favorite horror commentaries of all time. Just amazing behind-the-scenes stories and reasons, methods to the madness, right? Like reasoning for why this scene here and why that scene there. Really cool stuff. The guy that directed Horror, it turns out his cousin directed Alice Sweet Alice. Yes, and that was, I believe, Richard Soule. It might have been Alfred Soule. Alfred Soule it is. That Alfred Soule. Yes, that's right. And that's really where he got his main introduction to the genre. He saw that and was like, yo, I want to do this for a living. And he tried. I look it up, can't find it. Oh, wow. Okay. I would try Amazon Horror 2003 Dante Tomaselli. And it's this artwork with the goat. Dante is a cool dude. Friend him on Facebook. Dude, I should friend him on Facebook. Don, do you know if he's still doing movies anymore? Like, I feel like I haven't. It's been what, 8 years, almost 9 years now, because I guess the New Year's right around the corner. I don't know, man. This is one of those guys that I wish did more. Like, I watched this and I'm like, give this guy $2 million. He would have hit a home run. I mean, I really do believe that. I just, like, the independent horror fan in me really wanted them to just make a big star out of Dante Tomaselli because he's a very humble guy. He tells you a lot about his childhood on the documentary on this. Yes, super independent. Yeah, he is. That's the truth. Like, if you don't like low budget independent, don't watch this movie. Like you'll give it the proverbial 3.8 on IMDb, like they were saying before. But I don't know, man. This one, it always makes me think. Like, I put it on and I'm always trying to see new things. I want to mention a couple of the actors because Lizzie Mahon, she never acted again. She is phenomenal in this as the lead girl, Grace. Just great and a great screen presence to her. I love the way she sells fear and she sells the psychedelic nature of some of the nightmares. There's also a great scene in the attic where this one girl, she's looking for Danny Lopes, her boyfriend. She's looking, and they actually do this crazy sort of shadow of a goat, and she sees it, and just the look of horror on her face. Bam, they cut it. Really good stuff. I love that attic scene. I love the location. I love the house they filmed this in. It's very creepy. You're like, oh my God, this is such a creepy little house in upstate New York. It's just like, I would love to visit the filming location. Of course, they shot this in the dead of winter. They said some nights they would shoot and it was like below 10 degrees outside. Their art director and everybody kept getting the flu on the set of this movie. And of course, the last day of shooting, Dante Tomaselli was completely healthy until the last day of shooting where Dante Tomaselli came down with like a crazy fever of like 103. And he was like, listen, it's the last day of shooting. The show must go on. And he filmed the last day of filming for this movie with a fever of 103. There's some people that fucking can't get out of bed at 103. Yet Dante Tomaselli's directing the last day of filming for horror. I believe this was shot over 18 days. Like I was saying, from December 01 to January of 02. And this is, like I said, when it came out, this was a movie that kind of had some buzz. Now it's like a forgotten film. I'm so stoked that Don is a Dante Tomaselli guy because I don't believe we ever mentioned, like, I don't think I've ever talked about it with Don. But this is a guy that I think the world of, and I think more people should definitely get themselves familiar with. Desecration, I know there's a Blu-ray out. Kino Lorber did that, and this one was Elite Entertainment, the DVD. There's no Blu-ray of this, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't know. Spectacular visuals, very creepy movie, very quick movie. And I don't know. It's a movie I always turn on and it just kind of makes me think. One of my faves, one of my most underrated of the past 20 years, I would say. I really like Dante Tomaselli's horror, an independent film that I wanted to put over on the show tonight. So if you have not seen this, like I said, Amazon it, eBay it, try to give it a whirl. I don't know, but I love Dante Tomaselli's horror. This is a movie that I would give a solid score to. I'm going to go with an 8 out of 10. I really like horror. So that is Dante Tomaselli's horror. Really like that movie. I don't know. And I'm happy that most people hadn't seen it on here. I want to see it. Devin wants to see it. So hopefully I've sold it to you guys. I definitely, I don't know, like my big thing is I like to support people that really truly love it. Love the genre. And, Dante's a guy, just like I was saying before, he never got the break, and like I mentioned all these other guys that thankfully did. I mean, I love James Wan. I think Mike Flanagan's super talented. I look at this guy as he could have been one of those guys is kind of what the main thing I'm getting at here. And if not, maybe even more. Like I've never really heard Dante discuss the bigger franchise movies, like he is a big guy. He was interested in like 1920s horror, like the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and Nosferatu. Like this movie has that gothic feel of those movies, but set in a modern day with that psychedelic, like drug kind of influence on it. And it is all over the place. There are a lot of nightmare sequences and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think it's a damn good movie, and he's a filmmaker that I highly recommend to everybody. So yeah, that is horror. You know, I'm an indie fanatic, so I'm certainly tracking it down. Excellent, excellent. If you guys haven't seen Red Rusty, actually, he just got a bunch of movies in the mail for like Amazon Haul. So really cool stuff there. If you have not checked that out, he did a premiere video right before I went live on here too. I watched it before I went live. Really cool stuff. But yeah, that was Horror and Misery on 4K Ultra HD. Like I said, if you don't own this, if you have the Shout Factory, you can keep it because the features are slightly better. I mean, the Nicotero interview and the Rob Reiner interview alone. But the better transfer, I highly recommend this version of Misery. Kino Lorber versus 4K. Whole new color grading, the correct framing, absolutely fantastic stuff. And for you, those of you more daring and want to watch some independent cold horror, look no further than horror. Look no further than Dante Tomaselli's film from 2003. One I highly recommend. New York boys, we got to represent each other, man. We got to represent. I don't know. I would love, maybe I could try to get him on the show. I think it would be cool to get Dante Tomaselli on the show. That's a guy I'd like to talk to. I've been wanting to do that. I've been wanting to maybe get more independent horror film creators on here. I'm working on, I want to get the guy who did Secret Santa. I want to get him on in just a couple weeks. So I'm working on that. Hopefully that all works out, but we'll have to see. Can't wait to work with you with the voice of Scorpion when I finish the other 2 Spider-Man episodes. Oh, thank you. Hey man, I was flattered you even asked me. That was so cool of you. Are you excited for No Way Home? I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm sort of on the fence. I'm sure he'd do it. That would be really cool. I definitely like to, pick his brain. Cause like, I don't know if you own the DVD of Horror, but that commentary, like, the minute it comes on, I'm like, I'm invested. I could listen to that guy talk all day. He's just such a unique individual. And he really, like, I think I know the genre. That guy knows the genre. He is such an intelligent guy. And I don't know. I aspire to be as creative as him. Nice reviews, Grande. Thank you, Miss C. I appreciate that. Hey, if you get those interviews, you know where to point them to the next genius of cinema, me. Hey, man, I absolutely. I just, it's like it's funny. Like I would like to have Dante Tomaselli come on the show, and it's something actually when I was watching the movie last night, I was like, damn, like maybe I should have like asked before. Like I didn't want to spring it on him like the day of. Like, hey, do you want to be on my podcast tonight? But that's somebody I'd definitely like to get on. I'm thinking of doing maybe for the new year, trying to get more interviews, stuff like that. Keep it a little bit, fresh, if you will. So I don't know. We're gonna try. We're gonna try to get the guy to Santa's Sleigh very soon, like in a couple weeks. And maybe Keegan Chambers because she is beautiful and we love Keegan. So that's what we have planned 2 weeks down the road. Next week, and I wrote this down. I think I wrote it down. Let's see. Oh, I see Don texted me. Okay, next week we're still undecided. Okay, he sent me the Facebook link to friend up Mr. Dante Tomaselli. That's pretty cool. That's so cool, man. I love Dante Tomaselli. So let me friend Mr. Tomaselli before we go off the air here. Love the show as usual. Thank you so much. I appreciate you checking out the show, Russ. That always a fun time talking horror, man. It's and it was I liked doing these 2 movies too because one is so known and one is so not. Dante Tomaselli just added him. Good brother, Dante. That is so freaking cool, man. I'll send him this for sure. Grande would probably die if you got Pam. Oh my God. Number one, she won't even do a convention. So if I got her, like, do you know how many views that video would get? Like I would overnight get like a lot of love. Like, well, not love, but it'd certainly be a lot of views. Like, cause she's never ever done an interview talking about that role or those movies. So that would be my dream guest and probably my dream, like, if I wanted to meet a horror genre star, she would be the one, like by a mile. But geez, if I got that interview, man, that would be something, man. That'd be like getting fucking Neil Armstrong after he got off the fucking moon or something. I don't know. I heard she lost her voice and her brother and her ears fell off. I heard she lost her voice and her ears fell off. What? I don't even understand that. I could try to reach out to her if you want and see. I may get made fun of me. no one has tried harder. I have emailed her a ton and she has never answered. So I don't think it's going to happen. I do appreciate that. I will get you an interview with her. I'll try to send her an email. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I have tried, though. I swear to you, I have tried. I told her, be completely professional. I tried. But the thing is, I think when you have money and you don't have to do these things, I don't, there are some people that, and that's the thing with Felicia Rose, mentioning her that she's actually in horror for the brief cameo. And she actually becomes the lead in Satan's Playground, Dante Tomaselli's next film. I think, I definitely think that Felicia Rose, she's somebody that really loves the fans, and she's super nice to meet. And she did a screening by me. She signed for fucking free. Like Felicia Rose loves the fans, loves the genre. Pamela Springsteen, she probably doesn't. She probably doesn't care. She doesn't need the money. She has her brother's money, and she loves photography, and that's good for her. I don't know. I just personally, I wish just one. Jamie Lee Curtis even did a convention. Like, please do a convention, Pamela. I don't care where it was either. I would be first in line VIP. But, okay. I heard she lost her voice and both her ears fell off. Oh, shit. I don't know. I would still have her on. Funny, everyone talking about how they want these celebrities on their show. Just hear me hoping that I can get you and Need Gore to cameo on my channel at least once. Well, thank you. But hey, man, I'm honored. I'm honestly honored. See, what you do is you get somebody who does conventions for the Sleepaway Camp movies, and you mentioned you would love to talk to Pamela Springsteen. I believe they've been trying, Ty. I know Michael Felcher has tried. A lot of those, I think, what the hell is his damn name? Sean, oh God, I can't think of his damn name. Sean something. The two of them, they've been trying to get her to do Sean Clark and Felcher. They have been fucking trying forever to get her to do a convention. She's just never going to do it. It's just not like, my hopes aren't even up anymore. Hear this. They're doing a documentary on the character. They're doing a Angela documentary and she's not going to be on it. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, that's like having a Jason documentary without Kane Hodder on it, or without Richard Brooker or Ted White. Like, one of those guys was missing. Like, to me, it's like, why even do, like, just do a Sleepaway Camp retrospective. Don't be, oh, this is Angela, we're looking deep into her. Like, Felicia Rose played her in the first movie, and then, in the last movie, which we all want to forget that. But yeah, like, I don't know. I don't think she loves it, and I respect that. I don't have any ill will to somebody who doesn't like it. But I do think it would mean so much to us, so much to the diehard Sleepaway Camp 2 fans. Sean Clark, yeah, that's right. I don't know why it did finally dawn on me. Well, I guess you got to get Bruce Springsteen. Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know, man. Yes, she is. Felicia Rose is great. She loves the fans. Absolutely a phenomenal person. I loved meeting. She was so nice when we met her. Galen Ross Jr. Oh no. See, Galen, or are we talking Alexis Dubin? Alexis Dubin, man. That, I don't get why you'd be ashamed of Madman, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me, man. I like Galen, you were in like 3 movies, right? Like Dawn of the Dead, Creep Show briefly, and and Madman. And like, do you know how much money she could make if she just signed Madman shit? Like, I think she's really kidding herself. Like, I would just sign it. Like, fuck it, take the money. Like, even if you don't like the movie, just take the money. Nothing traumatic happened to you on that. Don't fucking, I don't know. I think it's kind of lame. Grande meets Bruce Campbell. Could you imagine if I had Bruce Campbell on here? I don't know. I should probably try to get guests. I think part of it is I'm just nervous to death of interviewing somebody. I've never really interviewed someone. Like, that's why I love having fans on, because I just like talking to fellow fans. Like, there's no pressure. Like, once it becomes an interview, it's like, oh my gosh. Like, Dante I'd be fine with, because Dante loves it. Dante's a fan. But Pamela Springsteen, I think I would need somebody to help me. Like, I don't think I could just interview her alone. I'd like shit my pants. I'd be like, I'll be right back. I gotta go change out of these Huggies. Like, I would just, I don't know. I think I'd shit myself. But I don't know. That's just me. Well, maybe when you're rich and famous filmmaker, you can just pay her to do an interview. $5 million is an interview? Yo, no. I'm stupid, but I'm not that stupid, man. $5 million for an interview. That's just wild. I don't understand why Galen Ross won't sign Madman merch. Nobody knows. She's never given a reason. Like, it's always just no. Like nobody knows why she doesn't like that movie. Like, they've done interviews with so many people in the cast. They were like, we never had a problem. Like, I don't know what I don't know what her problem is. I really don't. I was who wouldn't be? You know, like, I was nervous meeting Amy Steele, and then I saw Amy Steele's daughter. I was like, holy shit, it looks just like you. Like, that's fucking crazy. Like, I don't know. Like, and again, meeting them, it's one thing, but interviewing them, like holding an hour conversation, I would be nervous. Like, I don't know. Like, there are some people I'd like to try though. So maybe we'll shoot for the new year. We'll try to do interviews coming into the new year. And then maybe in a couple of weeks, we'll be doing more. So, that is something to look forward to. And I'm super looking forward to it. But I guess that'll be all for the show here tonight. I want to thank everybody for joining. This was such a fun episode, talking 2 winter-themed horror films. Always have a great time talking, shooting the breeze with y'all, drinking some eggnog, always great. And it was a fun kickoff to the month of December. Very, very fun time. Devin says, see you next time. Thank you for tuning in. Everybody, thank you so much. I had a great, great time. And if you have not, like I said, pick up horror. Give horror a shot. And if you have not, if you don't own the Blu-ray, this 4K, damn worth the money, man. Damn worth the money. Love you, brother. Love you too, brother. Rock on. Have a wonderful weekend. Hey, if you want any help doing the interviews, I'll gladly help you make it you a little less nervous. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. See you next time. Thank you so much. Everybody, have a safe, wonderful, frosty weekend, as the trench coat would say. He wasn't here tonight, but we all love Trenchy. Thank you all so much. We will catch you next time, only on The Graveyard. Too sweet, peace, and we'll catch you next time.